Yeah, good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Every Voice Matters. And this is Fact on a Page, and I am Samuel Owo Osho. And on this episode, we will be looking through some of the stories that make the rounds in this concluding week. And I have my analyst with me here to discuss some of the stories. Now, let's read some headlines in the newspapers that makes the round this week. In the Guardian newspaper, I saw this story. I pick court ends Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Others IPOB leaders release. Another story here is that of coming from Independent National Electoral Commission, and that is 95 million voters to determine Buhari's successor in 2023, says INEC. Let's look through some of the stories in the Punch newspapers, and we see this, which says ASUU suspend strike after 8 months, and I guess this is a good news for Nigerian students. Another one is Nigeria's future depends on entrepreneur businesses, says Oshibajo. And lastly, on the headlines that will be taken from the Punch newspaper, Nigeria's future in youth ends, says rufai. Now let's move straight to the talking point, and that will be all I will be able to take from the headlines. Now let's dive into the discussion with Dr. Gideon Ogoneye. Thanks for joining me today, Dr. Gideon.
Yeah, thank you, Samuel, for having me.
Yeah, the Academic Staff Union of Universities has suspended its 8-month strike. What do you make out of this final resolution as it were?
I think first and foremost, I want to congratulate the students, Nigerian students, for the opportunity they have now to go back to school and to continue their studies. And I want to say that it's a good development that the National Assembly, especially the House of Representatives, through their leadership led by Honorable Gbajabiamila, weighed in to try to resolve this problem. And that is good because it shows that ASUU can actually get what they want through working with the National Assembly, especially the House of Representatives, because I believe that the central issue is the issue of funding of tertiary education, tertiary institutions in Nigeria, especially the universities. And I think that this issue can be resolved through legislation, and it's something that ASUU has done in the past. If you look at TED Fund was an act that was established in 1993 to look at how to fund infrastructure in the universities, and not only just in the university, in the polytechnics and all tertiary institutions. And I think that we should be looking at how we can increase funding through TED Fund. So funding that goes to TED Fund and funding that is available to be disbursed to all the tertiary institutions in the country, and that can be achieved through legislation. For example, how do we get TED Fund to get more money? What other sector of the economy do we need to tax, and who are the people that we need to tax, so that more money can come into the purse of TED Fund, and TED Fund has more money to take care of university revitalization, to take care of end allowances, to take care of staff training, to take care of infrastructure in the university. So I think this relationship between National Assembly and ASUU leadership is a good one, and I think it's something that should go beyond this period, so that we make sure that all stakeholders come together to make sure that we don't have this kind of disruption to academic activities in our universities again. So I'm looking towards ASUU working with the National Assembly to resolve this problem once and for all.
Thanks so much, Mr. Gideon. And if you look carefully at the report, we see that ASUU suspended its strike, and with conditions, and it is conditionally suspended. Is it that so now or later in the future, do you still see another strike surfacing after this strike? Is it still possible that there is no lasting solution to this problem, and then strike will still resurface again?
So I saw the statement released by the ASUU leadership, the press release, and in that statement they said that the government has not satisfactorily met their demands. So that shows that it's possible that they go back on strike in the future. And I also saw the Minister of, I saw the report from Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngige, who said that government will ensure that tertiary institutions do not experience such disruptive strikes in the future. But if you look at what he's saying that, the National Industrial Court will resolve the substantive issues between them and ASUU, which I think is not the right approach. I think the approach of the working in harmony with the National Assembly that ASUU has taken is the right approach. I don't think anything good will come out of the National Industrial Court or through legislation, through litigation, I mean. But I think we can get better results through legislation. So how do we increase the funding that comes to this tertiary institution? Let's do that through legislation. We can start saying that certain percentage of Nigerian budget should go into funding of education. That can be solved through legislation. And if any government violates that, if that becomes law, if any government violates that, that government there is a strong basis for litigation then. Or let's say, for example, Nigeria is currently subsidizing education in the country. For example, if you look at medical education, for example, maybe a medical student needs to pay up to 1.5 million in a year for that study to get the best from the system. But look at what they are paying right now. I'm not against that subsidy of education in the country, because this is the only social service that the government is providing to the people. But we can put a policy in place that if any of these doctors is leaving the country within 5 years of graduation, he has to pay the government a certain amount of money. So these are the kind of legislation we can put in place to make sure that we get more funding. We get more funding for education in Nigeria. For example, I saw a news that about 200 doctors left the shore of Nigeria just last month. And we know that Nigeria has invested a lot of money in the education of these people. So if we should start looking at, so that we can stop this problem once and for all.
Okay, thanks so much for that fantastic contribution, Dr. Gideon Ogunleye. So let's move on to the other stories that make the rounds, and that is of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, which was released this week to his families this week. And the question there is, what are the implications of his release on 2023 general elections, while gauging the youth participation in the election, especially youth from Southeast who are active followers of Nnamdi Kanu? What can you say to this?
There are a lot of conspiracy theories in different quarters. People saying that the Nnamdi Kanu was released because of the fact that government want to use him as a distraction for the support of Peter Obi. I don't believe in all these conspiracy theories, because if you look at the verdict of the court, of the appellate court, it was an unanimous verdict, and it was based on the fact that Nnamdi Kanu was illegally abducted in Kenya and repatriated into the country. That was why all the terrorism charges were thrown out of the court. So I want us to look at the legality of the ruling, not all these conspiracy theories. So that aside, I think that Kanu release from prison, we aid peaceful election in the Southwest, where he has huge followership among young people. And the reason is because it will douse the tension. I think it was the continuous incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu that's causing the tension, that is causing the restiveness, that is causing the problem in the violence in the Southeast. And with this release, I am sure that it will aid peaceful conduct of 2023 election in the zone. And And you must note that the majority of the people that are supporting Nnamdi Kanu are also supporting Peter Obi. And when they started supporting Peter Obi, you can see that the tension in the region has come down, and you can see that the level of violence has come down. And that shows that they begin to see that, okay, Peter Obi is their route to the national office, to presidency. The youth begin to see the future of Igbos in central government, and that is why they are fully behind Peter Obi, and they are not as violent as they used to be. And I want us to note that what is the cause of agitation in the first place is because some people, especially from the Southeast, believe that they've been marginalized, they will not be allowed equal access to the central government, and that is why those agitations exist. But now that they have a candidate that is supported by all Nigerians outside their region, and it gives them a hope that they also can make presidency, I don't see them disrupting the process through because of the release of Nnamdi Kanu. So I think it will douse the tension, and it will allow peaceful conduct of 2023 election.
And thanks so much for clearing that conspiracy theory, because some people believe that his release is actually geared to distract some supporters of a particular candidate. And thanks for clearing that, Dr. Gideon. And lastly, before we draw the curtain close, because this particular story talk about the agenda of this platform, which is Fat Corner, which is a project that is youth-based and to give youth voice. And we see the story in the Punch newspapers where rufai says that Nigerians' future is in the youth hands. And if rufai talked about that Nigerian future is in the youth hands, I see 2023 as well. And how will youth then make the great impact to right the wrong in the coming 2023 general election?
I think that is already evident. If you look at what is going on right now, I can call it youth revolution, especially in the kind of support they are throwing towards a particular candidate in this coming election. They are passionately engaging themselves in dialogues about the future of Nigeria, which is something that we've not seen in the recent time. They are passionately coming out to get their PVC. They are passionately engaging themselves in political activities, and you've seen a number of works that they've done in different parts of the country for the candidacy of Labour Party. And that shows that the young people, they put their hope in Labour Party candidate, and they are saying that this time around, we want to be actively involved in the politics. We want to be actively involved in the leadership selection process of who becomes the president of the country. In what we have in the past is that the ones that are not so educated are being used as political talks by politicians to disrupt the process. But look at what we're having right now. We have the educated ones, youth in different level of the sector, coming together to demand to participate actively in politics. And so what El-Rufai said is correct. The future of Nigeria depends on the young people, the Nigerian youths, and they constitute about 60% of the population. And I'm sure that they are critical stakeholders. Their views matters, and they will exercise their rights. I can assure you of that in the coming election. So what we had in 2019, where only 35% of the registered voter come out, is not what we are going to have in 2023. I'm predicting that up to 50% or more than 55% of registered voters will come out because of the young people that are actively involved this time around.
Thanks so much for that. And I guess it is time also for the Fat Corner project to start giving a detailed information about each candidate. I mean, a detailed of their antecedents, to give information about who the right person that is qualified for this particular position come 2023 general election. We should have a list where we will discuss each of the candidates vying for this post. And I believe that will come on the screen soon, sir. Dr. Gideon Ogbole.
Yes,
right
definitely. Let me say that we've been doing that. We've been doing debates and we've been inviting young people to debate their candidates, and that will continue from next week. We believe that debate is an important element of democracy, and we should discuss these candidates. We should interrogate these candidates. We should look at their manifestos. If you look at their antecedent, their pedigree, we should look at the question of their integrity, their capacity, and these are the things that we should discuss so that young people can have can make informed decisions on who they think should the best candidate. So these are the things that we are doing on Fat Corner, and that we'll continue to do to continue to encourage young people to be actively involved in the leadership selection process of their country.
A very great appreciation to our listeners. And please do well share our content and do well to like our pages and share with your friends and families to receive information about what is happening in the country. Thanks for being here. Thanks so much.